Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're ready because it's time for another Q&A video.
We're back and we're ready for it all over again.
The last Q&A video that I did was back in April, and since then I've received more questions, and so 10 of which of those that I've received are going to be included in this video today. Like that last video, which I will link down below in the description, I will be answering these questions off the cuff, and so the responses are not scripted, so that just kind of pre-warning if I do kind of go off on a tangent. I have actually received more questions about in-play this time, so I'm going to split the whole video up into 10 questions, 5 questions around in-play and 5 questions about the sector and kind of getting into the industry, etc. So let's cut the small talk and get straight into the questions. Okay, so the questions are down here on my laptop. So the first question is, so you spoke about a portfolio and sharing your work online. Which platforms do you recommend I start with? Okay, fair enough, good question. So what I will say, I think when I've mentioned the Twitter community, obviously a lot, that's come up a lot. So I think that's an obvious place to start in terms of, if it was me, I would create a Twitter account, and I would also definitely get on LinkedIn. So I do have a video on LinkedIn specifically in terms of how you can better your chances of getting a job on there in terms of networking and creating your profile and stuff like that. So I think those two would be the main two for me, but then you've also got the fact that you can actually create a blog. You can create a free blog, which is effectively a website for yourself where you can put stuff on there. I think the main thing would be to link, whatever you do, link them all together. So if you're quite engaging in the Twitter community, you can post articles from your blog if you have a blog, or you can actually do articles on LinkedIn, which I've done a few of myself. So I think the main two for me would be LinkedIn or Twitter and LinkedIn. But if you're wanting to go out there and do a little bit different, you've obviously got YouTube as well. You could definitely do something on YouTube, and again, the videos can be turned into articles and you can share them on various different platforms. I suppose there's not really any right answer to that, but I think the Twitter community gets spoken about a lot. And again, LinkedIn has loads of different analysts and coaches. The people that you want to kind of work with are on there. So I would definitely not kind of miss that one out if I'm looking to kind of grow my portfolio. So Twitter, LinkedIn is the main ones. YouTube, if you want to kind of put yourself out there even a little bit more. But again, a blog, you can start a blog for free. You can start a blog for free, a nice simple blog, and just kind of post your work on there and start sharing it. So hope that helps. That's where I would start if I was kind of creating my portfolio. Okay, so question number 2, first one on in-play. So how much money did you start in-play sports with as a new business? So again, great question. So I've got a video coming out, I think it's coming out next week actually, in terms of the early days of in-play, which it was really fun to do because it allowed me to kind of remember what went on back then and what we kind of did and how stupid we were really. In terms of how much money we started in-play with, it was basically not, I think we might have put like £100 or £150 in each, and that was just to get us a laptop and a printer, I think. I might be wrong about that, but it wasn't much money at all. I mean, we didn't have money, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's what we started with, and then we kind of just reinvested everything we made. So we didn't really take a wage out of in-play. It was just a side hustle at the start. We didn't take any money out, so any money that we made from any customers, we just put it back into the business, and that then allowed us to buy a camera, for example, or sports mask, etc. So initially, right at the start, 100, 200, a couple of £100 is basically what we started with. Then as we kind of progressed and we got towards creating in-play online, which again I speak about in the video coming out next week, that didn't come for the first half of the business, to be honest with you. We had a business loan at that point, maybe 6 years ago or something like that, and that kind of part funded in-play online as a project, but we used that money and then also the money we had coming in. But in terms of the initial outlay of money, £300 max, maybe even less. Laptop and printer was the main things that we bought. And again, I mentioned in the video, we didn't even have a camera to start with, so yeah, we actually borrowed a camera right from the start. So that's how little we actually had in the early days. So yeah, good question. Question number 3. What are the holiday days like for an analyst? Again, good question. It would definitely depend on what kind of analyst you are. So just going from you've got first team analyst, then academy analyst, but you've also got then recruitment analyst and kind of in the recruitment sector. So if you're a first team analyst, you would typically not really have a day off during the season. especially if you're a solo analyst and there's no other person at the club to kind of fill in for you on match day or whatever. So you typically wouldn't have many days off during the season, but then that's kind of made up by having the summer off. So normally when the last game's played, you may be going for a few days afterwards, tidy things, the loose ends up, and then kind of everyone would just go on holiday for 4 or 5 weeks or whatever. So you'd have the whole of the summer off, and then maybe not the whole of the summer, you'd have a chunk of summer off, report back for pre-season, obviously. It would typically be 4, 5 weeks off maybe, just from my experience. Again, it's almost like the same amount of days off, but it's just condensed into the summer. So academy analysis is a little bit different. Again, you get that summer off, but you're probably a bit more lenient to have days off during the season, just because there's a slightly less pressure at the academy level than the first team. And then it's kind of the opposite to that with recruitment. So as you can imagine, right now we're in the summer. Well, this is the time when teams are buying and selling players. So it's kind of the transfer window is open now. So from the people that I know that work in recruitment as recruitment analysts, etc., they will typically work harder and longer through the summer. But then the likes of when the first team analyst is in a hotel at Christmas, for example, working the busy Christmas schedule, the recruitment analyst can have that off, like obviously barring the January transfer window, etc. But the times that you are busy differs between what your role is. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions. Okay, so question number 4, what degree did you do and can you write software code? Okay, good question. So the degree I did my degree at Sheffield Hallam University, and it was called Sports Science for Performance Coaching. So I did that. I didn't actually go straight to uni after my A-levels. I applied for unis. Then I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of where I wanted to go, etc. So I took a year out, I worked, and then I repeated the process the year after and then went to Sheffield Hallam. I didn't actually, because obviously live local to there, so I just travelled into uni every single day, or the days that I was there. So that was the course. And can I write software code? No, which sounds quite weird to say that I'm obviously got a business that kind of has created its own software and obviously web application, but I personally cannot write software code. Again, I've learned obviously lots over the years in working with our great team of developers, but no, it's not my forte. I'm an analyst by trade, and we've got people in the business that are a lot more smarter than me in terms of actually the software itself. I think ideally I would, it would have been great if I did have those skills. Maybe if I was to kind of go to uni again, then maybe I would have done, try to learn some of those skills. But on the flip side, if I didn't do what I did, then I might not have fallen into where I'm at now. So, software development and all that, those kind of skills are obviously very, very valuable these days, and becoming more and more popular. So I think it was difficult to start because, again, myself and Scott don't know how to code. We're not techie people. So it was a case of kind of trusting other people and also trying to get our vision across to them. And obviously it seems to have worked okay. And obviously now that we've kind of grown from the start, we're able to bring everything in-house and we've got our own team together. So that's my degree. And the answer, no, I can't write software code, unfortunately. Okay, so question number 5, how much does an analyst get paid? It's a difficult question to answer because obviously it depends what kind of analyst you are. You're obviously going to get paid more usually if you're working in the Premier League than if you're working in League One or League Two. So, I mean, it's difficult because even the jobs that are advertised, you don't actually see, they don't tend to post the salary, which is, a big debate on itself. Obviously, I don't know why they don't do that, whether it's because they're embarrassed that it's so low or they don't want to let other clubs know what they're paying. I don't know. So, I mean, if I'm just going to base it on a first team analyst and base it on the jobs that I've seen over the last year come up. I think if you're a first team analyst working in league, say like National League, League Two, you might want to expect between, and again, you're lucky to get paid at some point. Some will actually ask you to work for free, to be perfectly honest with you. But if you're in a paid position, maybe looking between 16 and 22. I know it's a bit of a range, but again, on the low end, 16, 22-ish. Again, you've got to factor in, you might get paid more in London because it costs a hell of a lot more to live in London. I think from my experiences, again, you might, if you're a first team analyst within a Premier League club, you might be on sort of anywhere between 30 to 50. Again, that's a big range, but it just depends on what team you're working for, really. But yeah, it is very difficult. And again, you've got different pay structures for academy analysts to first team analysts to opposition analysts to recruitment analysts. So lots of different variables, but yeah, I think on average, if you're an average EFL first team analyst, you're probably on about 25 to 30 maybe. But again, I'm just going from my experiences. I may stand corrected, but yeah, that's kind of what ballpark I would probably go for, I would say. But again, if you check out the other videos on my channel, there's a lot on there in terms of people saying that the pay isn't high enough. Again, that's their opinions again, and in terms of the hours worked as well, which has always been a big debate in sports analysis. So whether you might be on 25 grand a year, for example, but instead of working 40 hours a week, which you're contracted to, you're actually working 70. It then kind of means that you're getting paid less per hour overall. So it is something to consider if you are looking at looking to get into the industry. I think it's one of them that you don't do it for the money, you do it for the love and the passion of the game and the job itself. But yeah, that's kind of the best I can answer that question. As I say, I can't give much more than that, unfortunately. Okay, so 5 down, 5 to go. So please make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hitting the like button too and leaving a comment really helps the video do well, and in turn will help the channel to grow. So all of those things will be very much appreciated. Okay, so question number 6. What are the hardest things about running a business? Okay, so that's a great question. So there's a lot of hard things, if I'm being honest, but we'll kind of speak about some that come to mind. So I think the first one would be when you get to the point where you've got a team, you're actually paying staff. Obviously there's pressure that comes with that. So every single person that we've employed, obviously they've got their bills to pay, they've got their family and whatnot. So they need to have the security of the job to then enjoy coming. They've got to enjoy coming to work for one, and they've obviously got to be paid. So there's pressure in that in terms of making sure the business grows at the correct rate to be able to then obviously pay the staff. But it's great to obviously do that when it works out. So I'd say we've got a small team now, but yeah, every single new person that we bring in, I always think, it kind of have a bit of a worry stage in terms of, oh my God, it's another wage to pay. But we kind of do we plan it correctly and accordingly. So we do kind of know, what's achievable. And I think that links to the next point, which is the management of money. I think in a business like ours, we are kind of seasonal, so we get a lot of our new sign-ups and stuff in the off season, ready for the new season. So we'll make, the majority of our money will be made in, certain months, whereas other months of the year will be quiet. So, you've got to kind of have the foresight to look forward and project what your cash flow is going to look like over the next 12 to 24 months and, what targets you need to hit, etc. So those are difficult things. And I think just the fact that, when you're running a business, you never kind of, even though you do try and switch off, you never really have a day off because you're kind of responsible for the whole thing, really. So, I would just say the amount of time and effort it takes. But again, I wouldn't really change it. I'm not sat here moaning. I enjoy doing what I do. So yeah, I think the hardest things are switching off in terms of it being kind of non-stop 24/7, managing the staff, and I think obviously then having the foresight to kind of forecast and kind of see what's going on in the next couple of years and how the landscape of the whole sector is changing too. Okay, so question number 7 is, do you have any advice for getting analyst roles abroad? Again, it's not something that I've done, so again, I might not be the best person to kind of answer this, but what I will say is, it obviously depends where you want to go. I mean, there's job boards, if it's like America, for example, I know there is, because I've seen them myself, there's job boards which show roles that are kind of available in different colleges and teams in America, and even like Australia, I think. I mean, what I would do is I would actually reach out to people that have done that and try and learn from them and get their opinion. So if you can, if you're on LinkedIn, you find an analyst working in the MLS and that's maybe where you want to go, just send them a message and just kind of ask them if you can ask them a few questions about their experience. Maybe they've always been at the MLS, or maybe they've done the same journey as what you're trying to do and move from the UK to the MLS or whatever. So, and again, it doesn't have to be the MLS. So, I did a video recently with an industry chat with Nathan, who moved from Barnsley to Besiktas, which again is a massive different culture change. So if you haven't seen that already, I would recommend you check that out, which I will link it below. But I think just do your research, and your best bet is literally to speak to people that have done the same, have gone down the same path. They've done it, so they can kind of tell you how, what went on for them, what hurdles they maybe came up against, and maybe be able to give you some tips to kind of learn from their mistakes, really. So yeah, I would say get on LinkedIn, try and do a bit of research on the club, the area, and then yeah, speak to somebody that's either there or within that country that's done a similar path to what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so the next one is, what is the best thing about your job? Okay, so I mean, to be perfectly honest, I really enjoy speaking to different people. So the fact that I can, I'm speaking to different coaches, different people from different teams, different companies, etc. I really enjoy that. So I like speaking to different people, and the fact that what we're actually building in In-Play Online is we're trying to build something that actually serves a purpose. So it's, we want to kind of make players and analysts and coaches have a better time when it comes to their experience with video analysis. So we're actually, we want to make a difference. So I think every single day and even when we come in and we have obviously our roadmap for the actual software itself, we're going towards it. We're all kind of working in that same kind of direction. So the team we've got, yes, it is quite a small team. We're not a huge company, but the fact that we're all on the same page, we're all trying to achieve the same goal, basically be better every single day and create a product which is going to benefit, the professional football teams and professional rugby teams, etc. That kind of gives me a little bit of a buzz. And then, yeah, like I said, just meeting new people. I really enjoy meeting and speaking to new people. So that's definitely probably the best thing that I would say is, that I like about my job. So moving on to question number 9. So do you think an analyst should have coaching qualifications? So that's a really good question. I've seen a few polls on this recently on LinkedIn. So it's kind of, some people are totally saying no, then they shouldn't need to. Some people, obviously the opposite of that. So my opinion, I think they should. I think if you are an analyst, then you are part of the coaching staff. So all of the other coaches have got their qualifications. I'm not saying you need to be up to like pro license level or whatever. But I think just having that basic understanding of coaching will, it will allow them, and when I say them, I mean the other coaches, to trust you more. So they'll believe in your opinion a bit more if kind of understand that you've kind of done some sort of qualifications. I think this also came up in another video I've done with another industry chat video. You might not have the actual qualifications, but if you've got experience working with different coaches, you're going to pick things up. But overall, if I was trying to get an analyst job, I would try and do my coaching badges, definitely, because I think it would definitely put you in a good position against those that haven't kind of got them. But not just for that, just from a kind of perspective of, to me, video analysis is just a branch of coaching. So why shouldn't you be qualified, in my opinion? But yeah, I do think that you should have them. Again, not saying you need to go all the way up to the top qualifications, but at least have a basic understanding, and that will kind of add a bit of credibility to you and your kind of conversations that you have with the coaches on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so final question number 10. Why did you start YouTube, and what are the plans for the future of the channel? So, okay, great question. So even before I started my channel, I was a big fan of YouTube. I consume a lot of YouTube content. I probably watch YouTube more than I watched normal TV. So it was always kind of a thing in my mind of, could I create a channel? And if I created one, how could I make it successful? Could I make it interesting? So it was almost like I'd had the idea to do the channel for a long time, and then it took me quite a while to actually bite the bullet and kind of create it. So the goal for the channel really is just to kind of shed a light on what goes on in the industry, and whether that be done by sharing my experiences, but also with the industry chat videos that I do, I get people on that are working in the industry. So if you are a student looking to gain employment, if you're just an outsider interested in what goes on in the world of sport and kind of the jobs that are involved there, then I think the channel is there to fill that gap, because I don't think there's that much other content similar out there. In terms of the goals for the channel, I mean, I don't really have set goals, in terms of a number of subscribers or number of views or whatever. I just kind of want to reach as many people as I can. And like I said, the answer to the other question is I like meeting new people. So those industry chat videos for me is, although it's content that is hopefully being beneficial to other people and viewers, for me it's just interesting for me to have those conversations. The fact that it's been recorded and published is just an added bonus, really. So no real set plans or anything like that. Just to kind of continue having fun, making videos and see where it goes, basically. So yeah, hope that answers the question. Okay, so that's it for this Q&A. So feel free to leave any additional questions down below in the comments, or drop me an email or a LinkedIn message. If you have found any value in this video, then please consider liking it and subscribing if you haven't already. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.